Good morning, metalheads of the internet, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Metal Meltdown. Today we are talking about the latest studio album from Immortal Bird entitled Querencia. I've no idea if I pronounced that correctly. Also, not gonna lie, I almost said quinceañera. That would have been a pretty big, embarrassing whoopsie. A big uh-oh on my part. This is the third full-length studio album from this American extreme metal crew, hailing from Chicago, Illinois, to be more exact. They've been kicking around for just about 11 years now, but if you're anything like me, then you probably came to know them back in 2019 with the release of their sophomore album, Thrive on Neglect, which at first I had more of a lukewarm reception to, but it very quickly grew on me. The band had a lot of attitude, the songwriting was very complex, the production was heavy and murky, and there was a good amount of atmosphere and contrast as well. Very vibrant and versatile, kind of like songwriting pulling influence from like black and death metal and groove metal and grindcore and hardcore and sludge metal. I remember there being a really good amount of momentum behind that album too. Like I remember seeing it on a few top 10 lists here and there at the end of the year. I know Immortal Bird did a tour near the end of the year. They did a video with Banger TV, and I know that because I tried to interview Ray here on the Metal Meltdown, and they chose Banger over me. I was a little offended and a little burned at the time, but in retrospect, I get it. I would pick Banger TV over me too. I get it. I really do. But then they just kind of disappeared, I guess. I mean, to be fair, COVID-19 happened immediately after all of this, and this kind of, brought a lot of shit to a grinding halt. And I guess to be extra fair, the people in Immortal Bird were still busy just kind of doing other stuff. The aforementioned Ray, for instance, had a solo project, Errant, with a couple of EPs in 2020, and they also released some music with Throssenblot in 2020 and 2022 respectively. And that's cool, and that's great, and I'm sure all the while they were slowly working on this album, but the point is I wanted this album. I don't feel like it needed to take 5 years. Then again, the fuck do I know? I'm not an Immortal Bird. I don't know how they work. I don't know what's been happening behind the scenes. Whatever has been happening, though, if anything, it very clearly went into the production, creation, and release of this album, because holy fuck, what a wrecking ball. That's the simple, short way of putting it. I mean, they're just absolutely killing it on this thing. They sound more mature, more confident, more fired up than ever before. They're continuing to combine influences from black and death metal, sludge, grindcore, hardcore, and everything is getting a little bit more complex. Everything, I think, is getting a little bit more poignant and urgent as well. Like hypocrisy as well as complicity and complacency in the horrors of modern life and reality are common themes across the album. This is also just a more varied, dynamic, and energetic and impactful record all the way through. From start to finish, it's a totally provocative and powerful record, and I think anybody looking for something a little bit different within the realms of extreme metal is going to be very happy with this. You've got the opening cut, Bioluminescent Toxins, charging out the gates right away, practically fuming from the mouth with anger and malice and menace. It's filled with twisted and complex blackened death metal riffs and some slower, more like bulldozing kind of rhythms and chunky assaults. Some hardy and destructive mid-paced death metal percussive beatdowns coupled with hefty, muscular chugging riffs makes this thing sound like a beast stalking its prey. And I like how Immortal Bird just kind of gradually build upon this foundation, introducing more chaotic ideas and elements, right up to a point where it's if they read my mind and they went, all right, we got you, Uncle Melty. We know it's starting to get a bit too much. We're going to switch things up. We're going to throw in some dreary, melancholic chords here and there. You can hear them in the background, to be fair, all throughout, but it really slows down in a specific section with Ray utilizing some clean vocals, some nice doomy, almost kind of gothic harmonies in a way. And even though it's a bit of a sonic whiplash, I do love that transition back into these towering, bombastic walls of groovy blackened death metal and monstrous vocals. Really great stuff. Then there's Propagandize, which despite all of its technical swirls and complex arrangements, is a pretty hype, hard-hitting, rowdy, and raucous affair. Like, honestly, this thing's got the piss and vinegar and brutality of like a early 2000s Lamb of God style rager, just, way more intelligent. Plastered Sainthood is great as well, with a heavier emphasis on the blackened side of blackened death metal, storming, tremolo, assaults, and extreme volatile displays that wouldn't be out of place on a classic black metal record, but here they have the added heft and brutality of modern-day death metal. Ray is killing it across the board vocally, but I would say that this is one of their best moments on the record. I mean, just an absolutely venomous and disgusting and gnarly display. And then you've got Ocean Endless, a totally bloodthirsty and brutal and manic and frantic display. They're completely indulging in hardcore, grindcore influences here while maintaining that like death metal bite and heft. The result is something that is super energetic, super heavy, kind of reminds me of like some Misery Index kind of stuff, or even like mid-2000s Napalm Death. Sandwiched in between all this too, you've got a section of like full-blown classic hardcore punk with Ray shouting on top of some classic punk riffs, and then that transitions again into some like hyper-energized kind of like death grind mayhem. Really loving the album's title track and closing number, Querencia, as well. I mean, it's just kind of an unorthodox, angular little beast with like these convulsing, lurching rhythms and these like spastic little moments, lots of super hyper-technical kind of experimental patterns. Kind of reminds me of something I'd hear from Pyron, honestly. So too does Synthetic Alliances in a way. I mean, one of the most technical and complex cuts on the record, a variety of different riffs and grooves kind of going on here. Love the way it closes in this intentionally kind of clusterfuckian fashion. Like, it's very loud and noisy with like towering rapid-fire percussion and these swelling, lurching guitars. Love the production across the board. I mean, Ray's vocals are crazy. The percussion is crystal clear. Guitars have a nice crunchy kind of crisp aura to them. Even bass has a nice, slimy, earthy, and important presence. And everything and everyone are working in unison. No fat, no filler, no duds, no weak moments whatsoever. I'm feeling a very enthusiastic 4 out of 5, leaning heavily towards a 4.5 out of 5. Wouldn't mind a few more curveballs here and there. I honestly wouldn't mind if this record were a little longer, too. Like, I mean, look, I know I'm the guy who's constantly criticizing records for being, like, too long. Oh, gotta trim this, gotta. But, like, honestly, this is so strong all the way through that I'm like, they could have added more. Like, I was still kind of hungry afterwards, you know what I mean? But I mean, that's hardly a real issue. I'm just being stupid and selfish. It's still a great record. You should still definitely check it out. I'm going to keep jamming it more and more, hoping to pick this up on vinyl. Who knows? Maybe just like Thrive on Neglect, it will continue to grow on me, and maybe by the end of the year, it will be a 4.5 out of 5 or even higher. Maybe it'll be in my top 10. I don't fucking know. I guess I should start thinking about that, actually, because, like, holy shit, it's the middle of October. God damn, 2024 kind of flew by. What the fuck? I'm getting off topic. Look, great record. That's the point. That's what matters. Immortal Bird put their all into it. It's clearly a labor of love. It shows consistently. If you love blackened, groovy death metal and you're looking for something like that with a bunch of technical twists and turns, if you love modern extreme metal, good chance you're going to enjoy this as well. I'm kind of running out of stuff to say, so I think that means we're in a good place to start wrapping things up. Once again, very enthusiastic 4 out of 5. It's a great fucking record. Definitely check it out. It definitely kicks an absurd amount of fucking ass. And that is it for the Metal Meltdown. I am not an expert, nor do I claim to be. So what do you think? Do you like this record? Do you not like this record? And what do you want to hear from me next? And thank you for watching. Make sure you press subscribe right here so you get updates on the Metal Meltdown fucking immediately. Kaboom Jams a video. Kaboom Jams another video. Wow. And as always, you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.